Hello everybody, welcome into another lesson. So today we are going to talk about the slope of a line. Well, what is the slope of a line? So it's often denoted by the letter M. What a lot of people are probably familiar with from pre-algebra is rise over run is the slope. The slope is another term for steepness of a line. Now, next to rise over run, you see that equal to that triangle symbol is delta. So delta y over delta x. What that means is the change in y over the change in x, which breaks down into your second y coordinate minus your first y coordinate over your second x coordinate minus your first x coordinate. That's what that really breaks down into. So I'm going to put this over to the side here. We will have m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 for the slope of a line. Also, this is going to come in handy in a bit here. Remember last lesson we taught Vux Hoy. We talked about Vux Hoy. This is also going to come in handy. We will talk about Vux Hoy again in a minute, but for now let's let's keep that slope formula in mind here. Let's go ahead here and let's find the slope of some lines. Alright, so find the slope of the lines through the points. Alright, so we're going to have 2 points here on a coordinate plane. We're about to find the slope of the line between them. Of the line? Slope of the line, excuse me. There's only one line in each of these we're going to find the slope of. So let's say we have the points 8, 4, and then we have 6, 5. So we need to find the slope of the line running through the points 8, 4, and 6, 5. Well, how are we going to do that? The slope, if we recall, is equal to our second y-coordinate, which our second y-coordinate would be 5, minus our first y-coordinate, which would be 4. So you have 5 minus 4 over your second x-coordinate, which would end up being 6, minus your first x-coordinate, which would be 8. And let me preface this real quick. It doesn't really matter which one you call your first coordinate, which one you call your second coordinate, that's fine. But once you start out, right, let's say I made 4 the second y-coordinate and 5 the first y-coordinate, I would have then had to make 8 the first x-coordinate and 6 the second x-coordinate. You got to stick with the same order the whole time. So personally, as a rule, I like to say the second coordinate that you see, you treat that as the second coordinate. It just is going to make your life a lot simpler. Now, let's do the math here. So in the numerator, 5 minus 4, that's 1. 6 minus 8 in the denominator, that's negative 2, which we know 1 over negative 2 is negative 1/2. So the slope of the line between 8, 4 and 6, 5 is negative 1/2. Alright, how about next we'll do the points negative 4, 2 as well as negative 6, 5. So we have the points negative 4, 2 and negative 6, 5. So m is the slope. That's going to be equal to your second y coordinate, which would be 5, minus your first y coordinate, which would be 2. So you have 5 minus 2 all over your second x coordinate, which would be negative 6, minus your first y coordinate, first x coordinate, which would be negative 4. So you have 5 minus 2 all over negative 6 minus negative 4. Well, that turns into negative 6 plus 4. Well, 5 minus 2 in the numerator, that's 3. Negative 6 plus 4 in the denominator, that's negative 2. You have 3 over negative 2, which would simply give you negative 3 halves. So your slope for the line joining and going through negative 4, 2 and negative 6, 5 is going to be negative 3 halves. Alright, how about we have the points 0, 7 as well as 2, 3. So we want to find the slope of the line going through the points 0, 7 and 2, 3. Well, again, so take your slope, m, is equal to your second y coordinate, which would be 3, minus your first y coordinate, which would be 7. So you have 3 minus 7 all over your second x coordinate of 2, minus your first x coordinate of 0. So you have 3 minus 7 all over 2 minus 0. Well, 3 minus 7, that's negative 4. Over 2 minus 0, that's 2. Negative 4 divided by 2, that's negative 2. So the slope of the line going through 0, 7 and 2, 3 is going to be negative 2. That would be your slope. So as you see, slope is relatively straightforward. It's honestly not that difficult to take the slope. Alright, how about 6, 3? We're going to have the points 6, 3 and 2, 0. So we're going to find the slope of the line going through 6, 3 and 2, 0. Well, m equals your slope, so m equals second y coordinate, which would be 2, minus your first y coordinate. Wait, what am I doing here? Hold on. These are y coordinates. y2 is 0, minus y1, which is 3. So you have 0 minus 3 over your second x coordinate, which would be 2, minus your first x coordinate, which would be 6. So you have 0 minus 3 over 2 minus 6. Well, 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Over 2 minus 6, that's negative 4. So you have negative 3 over negative 4, which simply becomes 3/4. You get positive 3/4 for your slope, so the slope from 6, 3 to 2, 0 is 3/4. All right. Let's see, how about 0, negative 3, and 3, negative 1. So we're going to find the slope of the line running through 0, negative 3, and 3, negative 1. So to find the slope, you'll take your second y coordinate, which will be negative 1, minus your first y coordinate, which will be negative 3. So you have negative 1 minus negative 3 over your second x coordinate, which would be 3, minus your first x-coordinate, which would be 0. So you have -1 minus -3. This turns into -1 plus 3, all over 3 minus 0. Well, -1 plus 3, that's equal to 2. 3 minus 0, that equals 3. So your slope for the line running through 0, -3 and 3, -1 is going to be 2/3. Alright, so that's how you find the slope between 2 points. Now, we're going to shift into something a little bit different with slope here. So, now, we're going to find the slope of the line, but we are going to look at it in the equation form. Let's say you have the slope of a line. This is going to tie into the next lesson. This is slope-intercept form of an equation, y equals mx plus b, okay? Which, let me put that over here. Y equals mx plus b. Well, m is your slope, if we remember that. You got y equal to your slope times x plus b. Well, what's b? In the next lesson, we'll get into what b is, which turns out it's your y-intercept, but we'll cover that more. Today, we're only concerned about the slope, alright? That's all we care about, is the slope today. So let's say they give you the equation y equals 2x plus 1. You got y equals 2x plus 1. Well, it's in the form of y equals mx plus b, that m is equal to 2. So the slope of this particular line is equal to 2. Alright, how about y equals 3x minus 2? Well, we got in the form of y equals mx plus b. That coefficient on the x is 3, so therefore your slope is 3. So the line has a slope of 3. Alright, now y equals 8 minus 2x. Well, it's not in the proper order of mx plus b, but by the commutative property of addition, we can move that 8 and -2x around. This is the same as -2x plus 8. Now we got in the form of mx plus b. Well, the coefficient on the x is -2. That means your slope is -2. So slope for this line is going to be -2. Alright, now how about one like this? We have 3x plus 2y equals 6. 3x plus 2y equals 6. Okay, well, this is in standard form. Remember standard form, ax plus by equals c. We want to get this into slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b. In order to do that, we need to get that 2y by itself on the left-hand side, which means we got to subtract 3x from the left side in order to get 2y by itself. If we do that, we get 2y by itself indeed. That'll be equal to 6, and then you subtract 3x from the right, you would get 6 minus 3x. Well, again, the 6 minus 3x is not in proper order, you can use the commutative property of addition to make it 2y equals negative 3x plus 6. You can switch those around, 2y equals negative 3x plus 6. Well, we're almost to y equals mx plus b. We want to just get 1y on the left-hand side. Well, we got to divide the left side by 2. You do that, you just get y. But that means you also have to divide the right side by 2, since you did it to the left. You divide negative 3x by 2, you'll get negative 3 halves x. Plus, you do 6 divided by 2, you get 3. So the slope-intercept form of this equation is y equals negative 3 halves x plus 3. Now we have it in the form y equals mx plus b. The coefficient on x is negative 3 halves. Therefore, your slope is going to be equal to negative 3 halves. That would be the answer for the slope of this line, would be negative 3 halves. Alright, another one like it. We have 3x minus 5y equals 10. Alright, so we got 3x minus 5y equals 10. Well, it's in the form of ax plus by equals c, which is the standard form of the equation of a line. We want to get it into slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b. That means we want to isolate that negative 5y by itself first. So, in order to isolate that negative 5y by itself, we need to subtract 3x from the left-hand side. If we do that, we in fact get negative 5y by itself. But we got to subtract 3x from the right-hand side also. Negative 5y would equal 10 minus 3x. And 10 minus 3x is not in proper order, so you can write it as negative 5y equals negative 3x plus 10 by the commutative property of addition. Now, to get it truly into slope-intercept form, we need to find just y, which means we have to divide by negative 5. We divide the left side by negative 5, you'll get y. But you also got to divide the right side by negative 5. If you divide negative 3x by negative 5, you'll get positive 3/5 x. Then you divide that positive 10 by negative 5, you get negative 2. So the slope-intercept form of the equation would be 3/5 x minus 2. Now we have it in slope-intercept form. The coefficient on x is going to be 3/5. Therefore, the slope of this line is going to be 3/5. That would be your slope, would be 3/5. See if I can do one more like it. Oh, good. X minus 3y equals 9. So we have x minus 3y equals 9. Again, this equation's in standard form of ax plus by equals c. We want to turn it into slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b, meaning we got to get that y by itself on the left. First, we need to start out getting that negative 3y by itself on the left. In order to do that, we got to subtract x from the left-hand side. If we do that, you do in fact get negative 3y by itself on the left-hand side. However, you also got to do it to the right. Negative 3y would equal 9 minus x. However, this is not in the proper order. What it should be by the commutative property of addition is negative 3y equals negative x plus 9. So now you have negative x plus 9 on the right hand side, negative 3y on the left. Well, we're close to slope-intercept form, but we need to just get plain old y on the left hand side. So we have to divide by negative 3 on the left. If you do that, you do in fact get y by itself. But since you divide the left side by negative 3, you got to do it to the right. So negative x divided by negative 3, that would give you positive 1/3 x, right? Now that positive 9 divided by negative 3, that would give you negative 3. Now we have this equation in the form of y equals mx plus b. Therefore, your coefficient on the x term is positive 1/3. Whoops, don't want to do that. The dog will end up getting it. Drop something I don't want the dog to get a hold of. Okay, since your coefficient's 1/3 on the x, that means your slope is going to be equal to 1/3. So it's important to be able to convert between standard form and slope-intercept form. And then there might be times you're asked to do just the opposite, convert from slope-intercept form to standard form. It's important to be able to manipulate variables and numbers to be able to do that. But we're not going to dive too deep into that today. This is about as deep as we get. But, okay, let's say, how about y equals 3? You just got the line y equals 3. What is the slope of that? Remember Vux Hoy. Vux Hoy. V for vertical line, U for undefined slope, X for X equals. So it'd have to be X equals something. H for horizontal line, O for zero slope, Y for Y equals. We got y equals, that means it has zero slope. So if you just see y equals a number, the slope is automatically 0. The slope is 0 automatically. There's no slope if it's y equals. It's just a straight horizontal line. If we remember from the last lesson, or I should say the lesson before when we were graphing them a lot, it's just a straight line laying down horizontal. Alright, we got y plus 4 equals 0. Well, I still think it's safe to say we want to get y by itself on the left, don't we? We have plus 4, we need to subtract 4. If we subtract 4 from the left, you do in fact get y equals, but you did it to the left side, you got to do it to the right. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. You get the slope-intercept equation of y equals negative 4. Well, remember the Hoy, horizontal line, 0 slope, y equals. That means your slope is automatically 0. So the slope is 0. Alright. How about x equals 2? We just have x equals 2. This is the Vux side of it. Vertical line, undefined slope, x equals. So if you see x equals something, the slope is undefined automatically. There is no slope, it's undefined. So the slope is automatically undefined if you just have x equals something. One more example, and I think that'll do it for the day. Alright, 3x minus 5 equals 0. That looks a little more fancy than the last equation. But still, don't you think we want to get x by itself on one side? Certainly. We have minus 5. We want to get that 3x by itself. We have minus 5. We need to add 5. You add 5 to the left, you just get 3x by itself. But that means you got to add it to the right. 0 plus 5 is 5. We have 3x equals 5. Well, we just want to solve for x, so we got to divide the left side by 3. You do, in fact, get x, but you got to do it to the right side, too. x would equal 5/3. Well, what do you know? We're back to x equals a number. Remember Vux, vertical line, undefined, x equals. Since it's x equals, slope is undefined. There is no slope, it's undefined. So, remember, you just see y equals a number. If it's just y equals a number, it's zero slope. The slope is zero. If it's just x equals a number, the slope is undefined. If you can remember Vux Hoy, that's going to help you quite a bit. If you remember nothing else, remember that. So, that's it for this lesson. The next lesson we will talk about the slope-intercept form of the equation of a line. So I hope everybody has a good night. Take care.